A pleasant evening to everyone. We're Group 5 with a report topic of marketing environment and its impact on strategic planning process. But before we proceed to our main topic, allow me to introduce my team. First, Ms. Roda Salas. Second, Ms. Leslie Almugal. And yours truly, Jonalie Nabu. So are you ready? Let's go! Marketing environment and its impact on strategic planning process. Objectives: analyze the competitive environment. Analyze the external environment that includes demographics, culture, society, nature, legal, and technological environment. Know about the methods of environmental scanning. As a marketing student, we need to know and to learn more about the business environment. Because if we have a great strategic planning and great marketing decisions, it would really help us if we will build a business to be a marketing manager in the future. Introductory case lab. Revolutionary wave of ICC Bank. Some banking industries in India has come to maturity level. Since being liberalized in 1991, Indian banks have produced some of the great examples of social innovation. The ICC Bank is India's largest private sector bank as of date. It indicates here how they adopt and innovate their banking strategies in the country. They often almost reach the declining level as their age of bank in India. So KV Kamath, the founder and CEO of ICC Bank, have implemented new ideas to maintain the bank growth in the economy. They innovate their banking process by two offered measures. 1. The launch of 1,000 ATMs across the country in no more than 100 days. 2. The introduction of core banking solutions. The first step enhances liquidity by 1,000-folds and reduced transaction time. ATMs literally became modern tempers of the newcomers in the Indian economy. The second step of core banking solution boosted money transfer across distances. Introduction. Rajiv Bajaj is an Indian businessman. He is the managing director of Bajaj Auto from 2005 up to now, and a multi-entrepreneurial marketing speaker. He opines that as time evolves, brands evolve. Have you remembered the days where disco music are all around and K-pop music is non-existent? How about when you rather wear bell-bottoms or baggy pants? When was the last time you saw a flip phone? It seems like these trends existed way before and no one knew the time that we will not seeing them now. But of course, the same thing happens to brands and products out there. As it is in music, fashion, technologies, and culture, brands do also evolve. Before, camera was a feature for phones, but now it is a necessity. Flat screen televisions were luxurious before, but now almost all of them are flat screen. As time evolves, brands evolve. Life is a cycle. It is ever changing. Yes, change is the only permanent. If brands stop themselves from evolving, just like other species, they will be extinct. And soon enough, no one will remember that they ever existed. Evolution is the key to survival and longevity, and business want both for their brands. In the context of modern-day marketing, it simply means that companies need to understand that the marketing environment in which they operate is a highly dynamic one. Flack is a way of life. Companies that do not adapt their products and offerings to fit in with the demographic, economic, social, and cultural environments are deemed to extinction. To quote Bajaj, such companies become corporate dinosaurs. Step of understanding the external environment needs their attention on the competitive environment first, which was the direct bearing on their business. We should also be responsible to external environments like sociological, economical, political, cultural, technological, and legal environments. We should also need to learn how to analyze the changes in the environment and their effect on business. which will be covered by the next representative. The marketing manager should also understand the position, motivation, and capabilities of competing organizations and their nature of response to the business firm's decisions. All these learnings will help the marketing manager to develop effective competitive strategies. These environmental factors are extremely important because they provide the frame for reference in which marketing decisions must be made. However, these decisions are not variable in the marketing process. Instead, they are outside factors that influencing marketing strategy. Even though a marketing manager cannot control them, he must take these environmental factors into account while reaching strategic marketing decisions. Marketing mix elements that can be controlled and managed like product, pricing, distribution, and promotion strategies must be modified to meet the pressures exerted by the environmental factors that cannot be controlled. The dynamic nature of these factors put additional pressure towards the managers to re-examine marketing decisions continually in light of the evolving environment. Even a small change or shift in the environmental has the alter the effectiveness of marketing decisions. Competitive environment is the dynamic external system in which a business competes and functions. The more sellers of a similar product or service, the more competitive the environment in which you compete. Look at the fast food restaurants. There are so many to choose from. The competition is high. However, if you look at airline servicing, very few actually to fly to the airlines. Direct competitors are businesses that are selling the same type of product or service as you. For example, McDonald's is direct competitor with Charlie. Indirect competitors are the business that still competes even though they sell a different service or product. The products or services offered by indirect competitors tend to those that can be substituted for one another. Again, considering travel, you have the option to travel by plane, ship, or car. Therefore, airlines are also competing with ship lines and buses, assuming the travel does not go overseas. There are several examples of competitive business environments. 1. Smartphones. The first that comes to mind is smartphones. How many choices do you have when it comes to buying a smartphone? They seem to be multiplied overnight. That is an extremely competitive business environment. Companies are constantly trying to one-up the latest best-selling model, a good indication of a competitive environment. Additionally, prices of comparable smartphones model are relatively close. Another competitive business environment is the automobile industry. Again, almost every company produces a car in every category. Therefore, when someone is looking at buying a new hybrid car or full-size truck, they have so many options to choose from. Obviously, the automobile industry can be segmented in economical and luxury brands, but when comparing within the same segment, there is significant competition. Lastly, the food industry is extremely competitive. Let's just focus on the grocery stores. Have you counted the number of different brands of canned goods you can choose from your neighborhood grocery store? Here again, there are so many companies producing very similar products for consumers to choose from. Now, each one is trying to differentiate their product in one way or another to increase sales. But in general, canned sardines are canned sardines, whether it's from legal brands or the generic brands. There are advantages and disadvantages to having competition. The disadvantages are probably the most pronounced as no one likes competition. More competition means fewer sales because the other companies take some market share. Competitors can become allies with other competitors and become more powerful in the market. Competitors can take away potential investors or buyers, and investors isn't likely to invest too. Companies that compete, they will choose the one to invest in. Competitors can be fierce. Some companies may try to convince consumers why your brand or product is inferior to theirs, potentially damaging your reputation. Despite the laundry list of disadvantages, there are some significant advantages to competition. Nothing motivates a company more than having competition. Look at smartphones. Every company tries to do outlast release model. It spurs innovation and creativity on how to better your product or service. Marketing efforts from competition can increase your sales as well. Look at the car industry, advertising the benefits of hybrid vehicles. Ford's hybrid commercial can potentially benefit Toyota sales of hybrid because it is spreading the word of how great hybrid cars can be. Termination of a competitive strategy involves three questions. Should we compete? In what product market we should compete? How should we compete? The answer to the first question explains the strategic intent of the firm. It should be on the basis of expected profit, potential, and cash flows. If the expected profit flows are insufficient to pay an adequate return on the investment, then the firm should consider other profitable alternatives by moving into other lines of business. Many organizations have accomplished this reach quite efficiently. These decisions should be subject to continual evaluation so that the firms avoid being tied to traditional marketers with declining profit margins. Profit-centric evaluation helps in anticipating competitive responses. The answer to the second question concerns the product marketers in which the firms has to compete. This is based on the assumption that marketers in which the firms has to compete. This is based on the assumption that marketers have limited resources in the form of marketing and advertising budget, product development capability, sales personnel, and inventory network in the market. And these resources need to be allocated to the areas of greatest opportunity. The answer to the third question expects the marketer to make the tactical decisions involved in setting up a comprehensive marketing strategy. Product pricing, distribution, and promotion decisions are the major elements of this strategy, and in short run, the business has come out with a marketing program from the World Lead Marketing Strategy firm. When other companies provide similar products or services as your company, you are in a competitive business environment. Competition in a business environment is not always bad. Most companies face some extent of competition, despite it having disadvantages with decreased sales and potential loss of investors. There are some significant advantages. There really is no better way to motivate a company than having a competitor. Industries with more competition typically have more innovation and product evolution because each company tries to outdo the last.
The next topic, we talk about the external environment. Environment can be acknowledged as the surrounding or condition in which a specific activity is carried on. External elements are affecting factors outside and under no control of the company. Environmental factors are grouped as demographical, cultural, social, legal and policies, economical, natural, and technological. In demographical environment, there is the age structure, gender, income distribution, family size, family life cycle, occupation, education, and social class. Graphical environment, there is also two objectives. The first one is to segment the market by determining which subgroup exists in the overall population. The next one is to create a clear and complete picture of the characteristics displayed by typical members of each segment. In demographic environment, we intend to know the changing household patterns, geographical shift in population, better education, more white collar or more jobs, increasing diversity, and the changing age structure of the population. In demography, it provides very specific information about different population for this data. A company can drill down into its ideal customer groups and the company can develop well-defined strategies about how to reach these people. When companies examine demographic environment, they usually do so under the same lenses such as age and gender. By collecting this data, companies can identify trends within this population. For example, an 18-year-old freshman's interests are different from a 40-year-old married man and with children. This lets them forecast what might happen with sales in the future and make some decision about upcoming production or offered services. Much of the marketing with demographic data is based on assumption. As well as the populations are growing, the assumptions are not more accurate than the data. These assumptions are based largely on the cultural norm or of the company. There are also disadvantages of these demographic researches. Population are never constant. Marketers can only collect information or demographic data one time. Focusing marketing base of demographic information means that a company may lose potential customers who do not fit the general mold. With demographic profiles about target segment enhanced, marketing can evaluate the marketing mix. The next topic we talk about is the cultural environment. Cultural environment is a set of beliefs, practices, customs, and behavior that are found to be common to everyone that is living in the same population. Culture impacts how employees are best managed based on their values and priorities. It also impacts the functional areas of marketing, sales, and distributions. It can affect the company's analysis and decision on how best to enter a new market. The cultural factors affecting the business are the belief system. Everybody has different beliefs, practices, customs, traditions, and behavior. When you work in an environment that involves others from various cultures, you have to be aware of their culture and also your own culture. For this will allow you to be more sensitive to other cultures. So for example, in some cultures, people who are older are treated with extreme reverence. But in business, this may be asked for their opinion first. They may be placed on a board of directors or have a position in a company even though they have formally retired. However, in other countries, this is not the case. Age might seem more like a handicap to progress. Older people may not be valued for their former contribution or for their wisdom. There are also some gestures that are similar across cultures, like a smile to mean happiness, or an expression of anger to mean that you are upset. If you don't look an American businessman in the eye when you speak, it might mean that you are trying to hide something or being dishonest. However, if you look at someone in public too long so your glance becomes a stare, whether in a bus, walking on the street, in a restaurant, or etc., this is not acceptable behavior either. Accepting cultural differences provides you with a wide range of business expertise and gives you novel businesses to overcome business-related problems. It's your way to cope with potential barriers regarding international business and cultures. The next topic we'll talk about is the social environment. The social environment consists of the sum total of a society's beliefs, customs, practices, and behavior. Just like the cultural environment, it is to a large extent an artificial construct that can be contrasted with the natural environment in which we live. Every society constructs its own social environment. Some of the customs, beliefs, practices, and behavior are similar across cultures, and some are not. For example, an American traveling to Britain will find many familiar practices, but not so much if traveling to China. A business also has its own social environment. It refers as the internal social environment, which is simply the customs, beliefs, practices, and behavior within the confines of the business. A business has much more control over its external social environment than it does with its external social environment. A business must utilize and adapt to its external social environment, or it will not survive. These preferences and needs and wants will be influenced by population, values, beliefs, and practices. For example, a change in beliefs and values towards energy conservation and global climate change may create a change in consumer preference away from gasoline SUVs to hybrid sedans. Some cultures treat the meal as a long social event, and fast food just won't cut it. Social preferences relating to fashion are constantly changing. Skirts' length go up and down depending upon the years, as do the preference for single and double suit. If a business refuses to adapt to changing social preferences, its sale will drop and it will fail. Sometimes the change in social preferences may be so large that a business simply can't adapt. While there are risks with social change, there are also opportunities. Businesses often try to influence social values through the use of marketing, advertising, and targeted public relations strategies. Marketing campaigns are used in an attempt to create trends. The fashion industry is a prime example. For broader social values will also affect the success of a business. A society that values higher education will provide a better workforce, then will lead to more productivity and innovation. Likewise, a society that supports investment in public infrastructure will have access to good transportation and communication system. And if the social values of a community includes a hard work ethic, a business will have access to productive workers in population that has money to spend on goods and services. The social environment of a business can be integral to its success or failure. Employees are often influenced by the context in which they work, and this can have implication for productivity. Some effects of the social environment are easier to measure than others. Employees who take the necessary stride to create a positive and harmonious social environment in the workplace can set themselves up for future success. So how does this social environment affect the business? It affects the teamwork and employee cooperation. It also affects employee job satisfaction. There are also the type and number of customers and the position of leadership.
Now let's proceed to the legal environment. Legal environment includes the law and regulation of states. Marketers must have a good working knowledge of the major laws protecting competition, consumers, and society. It is covered the intellectual property laws, consumer protection laws, health and safety laws, employment laws, privacy and data protection laws, and antitrust laws and tax laws. The first factor of the legal environment is the intellectual property law. The intellectual property rights play a crucial role in the marketing strategy of all kinds of increasing numbers of the companies. It deals with the rules, securing and enforcing legal rights to inventions, design, and artistic work, such as trademarks, copyrights, and patents. Intellectual property and protection is critical to fostering innovation. Without protection of ideas, business, and individuals would not reap the full benefits of your inventions and would focus less on research and development. Next factor is the consumer protection law. In consumer protection is variety of law and organizations designed to ensure the rights of consumers as well as fair trade, competition, and accurate information in the marketplace. Consumer protection is very wide. It includes rights, responsibilities, and various remedies available to consumers. It is not only beneficial for consumers, but it is equally important for businesses. Consumer law covers the major factors such as warranty, defects in the product, and false advertising. As a marketer, we need to ensure the satisfaction of the customers. It is the responsibility to provide quality goods at reasonable price, law strictly regulate in terms of false advertising. As a marketer, we need to provide a valid information in terms of the advertising. Next is the health and safety law. Organizations manage and conduct their work activities in such a manner as to ensure the safety, health, and welfare of employees. Risk assessment is carried out by the organization or person in control of the place of work. For the next factor is the employment law. Employment law is the collection of law or rules that regulate relationships between employees and employers. It includes the workers' compensation, labor relation, family and medical leave, employee benefits, and minimum wage. It also includes the civil rights considerations. Companies of all sizes must follow employment law in order to comply with the law. In terms of privacy and data protection law, data privacy or information privacy is a branch of data security concerned with the proper handling of data in consent, notice, and regulatory obligations. Data is one of the most important assets of a company has. With the rise of the data economy, companies find enormous value in collecting, sharing, and using data. Privacy is the right of an individual, especially your customers. The next is the antitrust law. Antitrust law are statutes that apply to nearly all industries and levels of business. The law are designed to protect competition. Antitrust law governs transportations, manufacturing, marketing, and distribution. It is prohibited several practices that restrain trade and are necessary for a free open marketplace. Predatory acts to achieve and maintain a monopoly, price fixing, and corporate mergers that have potential to reduce competition in particular markets are the types of illegal practices that antitrust law target. When competition exists among sellers, consumers benefits from lower prices, more choices, better quality, and greater innovation. Company must provide higher quality products or charge lower price in a competitive market if they want to be successful. And lastly, the tax law. A corporation tax or business tax is charged on the profits a company makes. Impact of the legal environment. Every business operates within a strictly controlled legal environment. Identify and be aware of the impact of all legislation relating to the business. This might include regulatory obligations, environment restrictions, import, export limitations, and basic health and safety laws. This is closely linked to the political environment, but also includes trends in court decisions such as liability compensation. The next topic is the political environment. In political environment, it includes all law, government agencies, and groups that influence or limit others' organizations, and individuals within a society. All organizations must comply with government regulations and understand the political and legal environment in which they do business. Different governments, agencies enforce the numerous regulations that have been established to protect both consumers and businesses. The primary instance where political factors play supremely critical shaping factor is when a company tries to move into a new market, especially one in a different country. The company must understand the laws and regulations that dictate both the industry it operates in and any specific rules it may be subjected to. It may affect whether it's financially responsible for the company to enter the new market. All company should know what rules does it need to obey? Now, let's talk about the political factors. One is the tax and economic policies that corporate tax or business tax is changed on the profit a company makes. Corporate tax is similar to income tax, but for companies, meaning that as soon as your business starts making a profit, it needs to start paying corporation tax at the correct rate. While at economic policy is a course of action that is intended to influence or control the behavior of the company. Economic policies are typically implemented and ministered by the government. The goals of economic policy consist of value judgment about what economic policy should strive to achieve, and therefore fall under the heading of normative economics. Economic growth means that the income of all consumers and firms are increasing over time. And the goal of full employment is that every member of the labor force who wants to work is able to find. And the last goal of the tax and economic policy is the goal of price stability, to prevent increases in the general price level known as inflation, as well as decrease in the general price level known as deflation. This decision will directly impact businesses. This is why maintaining a strategy which can deal with such a situation is very important. The next factor is the political stability. Lack of political stability within a country can significantly impact the operations of a business. This can especially be true for businesses that are operating in the global scale. For instance, a hostile takeover can take over a government. Situation will lead to looting, riots, and general disorder within the environment. Such situation can disrupt business operations and activities which can have a major impact on its bottom line. Number 3 is the foreign trade regulations. Every business has a need to expand business operation to other countries. However, political background of a country can influence the desire for a business to expand its operations. Tax policies that are particularly controlled by the government can induce a particular business to expand operation in different regions. Foreign trade policies are government actions, especially tariffs. The tariffs added to the price of the imported goods. Then in import quotas, merely legal restrictions on the quantities of imports that are imposed by the government. And the export subsidies are usually paid to encourage or promote a specific activity. Employment laws. Employment laws are made to protect the rights of employees and include every aspect of employer and employee relationship. Employment law is an aspect that is very complex and involves several pitfalls as well. When businesses are in touch with the latest development in this law, they can manage to take their business in the right direction. However, those who get wrong needs to be completely prepared for the expensive results it will generate. In modern corporations, employees are almost 98% of the company for the accomplishments or lack thereof, and any changes within employment law will have a great impact on the business operations. The impact of the political environment. Political factors include how regulations and policies imposed by the national or local government might affect the way you conduct your business. For example, import and export tariffs may make it difficult or uneconomical to do business with certain countries. Another example of the political environment is the company of Nike. Nike has earned high profits from the growth-oriented policies of U.S. government. The policies maintain low interest rate, currency exchange stability, and internationally competitive tax arrangements were also benefited from government initiatives in terms of transparency in the global value chain. Let's proceed to another topic, the economic environment. This is the condition of the economy where the business primarily operates. This is also refers to the purchasing power of the potential customers and the way in which people spend their money. Here are the factors of economic environment: interest rate, inflation, consumer confidence level, savings rate, employment and unemployment, consumer discretionary income, tax rates, currency exchange rates, recession, and depression. Various economic forces influence an organization's ability to compete and consumers' willingness to buy products and services. The state of the economy is always changing. Interest rates rise and fall. If increase the demand for money, it will raise interest rates. While decrease in the demand, it will decrease them. Inflation will also affect interest rate levels. The higher the inflation rate, the more interest rates are likely to rise. It will affect the consumer's ability and willingness to buy changes. Meaning that the marketers must always be aware of the general economic environment. What we're really concerned about here is the health and condition of that economy. How are consumers doing in the economy? We want to know what are their habits, what are their purchasing habits, and how they save their money rather than spend our consumption. Also, what are things like unemployment? If the potential consumers are employed, their buying power is high, and the demand of per products is strong. If they are unemployed, the consumer buying power is declined. We are looking at economic metric to get sense for the health for the consumer, because a majority of the growth in the economy is derived from consumer spending. If the consumer's wages have been declining or inflation is continuing to rise, that could potentially affect consumers' purchasing power. It affects that amount of money that consumers have in their possession, which will mean that they are less likely to purchase certain goods and services. In terms of tax rates, taxes can directly address the failure of markets to take environmental impacts into account by incorporating this impact into prices. Environmental pricing through taxation leaves consumers and businesses the flexibility to determine how best to reduce their environmental footprint. And the currency exchange rate, where the price of nation's currency in terms of another currency, it affects some ways. First, in changes in the price of imported goods and services. This has a direct effect on the consumer price index. For example, an appreciation of the exchange rate usually reduces the price of imported consumers' goods and durables, raw materials, and capital goods commodity price. Many commodities are priced in dollars. Third is changes in the growth exports. A higher exchange rate makes it harder to sell overseas because of a rise in relative prices. In terms of recession, this is a period of decline in general economic activity. economy experiences a decrease in its gross domestic product for 2 consecutive quarters. It is include rising unemployment, falling retail sales, slowed manufacturing growth, and a decline in real personal income. When a recession continues to take its toll on economy, the financial crisis may lead to decreased availability for credits, and it shows a negative growth along with greater business failure and unemployment. Impact of economic factors. The strength and performance of the local, national, and international economy can all impact our businesses, presenting both and threats. Different types of taxation and other duties can also hit your bottom line hard. So a deep understanding of the fiscal environment is essential in order to prepare viable financial forecasts. The next topic is the technological environment. Technological factors refer to the creation of new technologies and how they shape products development, and access to new market opportunities. The technological developments can be a huge advantage for a firm, but at the same time, of the technology used by the firm become obsolete due to such developments, then it can also be a threat to that firm. Technology involves changes in technology that can potentially add value to consumers. So from a business perspective, we are looking here is for a change in technology that will allow us to provide a product or service that can help people essentially. These are the factors of technological environment. Number 1 is full of technological. Technological change generally refers to the advancement in the product and manufacturing process of different goods and services. It is when we improve the way products are made or services are delivered. In these times, there is always a new invention or better technology around the corner. This technological change brings both opportunities and threats to a business. There is always advantages of assessing the technological environment and embracing the new technology. This can make your product better, bring down costs, edge out of the competition, and increase product's capacity. But at the same time, such changes, if not adopted by the business, can make them obsolete and out of fashion very quickly. It is the most dramatic force in changing the marketplace with many positive and negative effects. The next factor is the opportunities from new innovations. The advancement technology means that there is the possibility of a new invention every single day. A perfect example of a strong technological force today is wireless communication. Nearly everyone in the world owns a smartphone, tablet, or laptop that can quickly and easily to be connected to the internet. It exerts a serious impact on individuals and societies in their ability to patronize companies freely. Mobile technology is also shaping the development of new technological devices and replacing ones that have become outdated. A company needs to continually use the most up-to-date technology in order to operate at its highest capacity and be aware of how technological application can better serve customers. The third factor is risk of technological environment. If a business cannot adopt a new technology, it can be forced out of the competition. There is also the ever-present risk of new innovation and entrance to the market. Technology and social media are changing people's lives. Many young people may rely more on electronic books and depend on mobile devices for most of their information needs. Organizations must adapt to new technologies in order to succeed. And the last is the role of research and development. Technology and business are very interdependent. The benefits of all the research and development a country thus reaches the public via the businesses. The rise of the internet may be the most disruptive technological change of the last century. The globe has become more interconnected and interdependent because of the fast, low-cost communication the internet provides. Example of this: customer service agents in India can serve customers in Kansas. Because technology has advanced to the point that the customer's account information can be instantly accessed by the service provider in India. The impact of the technological factors. The only thing permanent about technology is change. With advances in technology developing at a seemingly unstoppable rate, keeping up to date with changes could help you develop a market advantage in the face of competition. Technology change is most evident in how we communicate. With smartphones and tablet computers become commonplace. As a marketer, we should look at ways to harness technological potential to identify and service new and emerging markets. The internet is not the only technological advance that has transformed how business operates. Automation has increased efficiency for manufacturers. Consumers and firms have nearly unlimited access to information, and this access has empowered consumers to make more informed buying decisions and challenge firms to develop ways to analyze the large amount of data their businesses generate.
The next topic we talk about the natural environment. Natural environment includes the natural resources that a company or a business firm uses as inputs such as raw materials that affect the marketing activities or the productive activities. Every business is shaped in many ways by the local environment everywhere where they operate. Each environment represents its own set of challenges and opportunities. There are some aspects that need to be considered into account when we talk about the natural environment. The first trend is the shortage of raw materials. Raw materials is one of the major parts of these resources, and firms are concerned with their availability. They need to know whether there will be a shortage in any of the critical raw materials. They also need to know the trends of governing their costs. Besides raw materials, there are also concerns about energy, its availability as well as cost. Escalations in energy costs are of particular concerns to any business firm. Natural and physical environment provides the raw materials required for the functioning of industries. For example, iron and steel industry cannot function without one or other necessary minerals. In fact, the mines, flora, fauna, landmass, nature of soil, or etc. serve as the basis of production function. The second trend is the increase of pollution. Industry is a major cause of air pollution since the operation of factories results in the emissions of pollutants. Effluents can come from industrial outlets, treatment plants, and sewers. Any unfavorable alteration of this natural environment is called environmental pollution. Industrialization has drastically damaged the quality of our natural environment. The disposal of wastes, emissions of gas from factories, has also created severe problems of air and water pollution. Hazardous materials are widely used in a variety of different businesses, including the industry and agriculture. Solid waste is generated wherever there is human activity and is characterized by several different streams, each with different characteristics and components. This includes the industrial waste, dry waste, and organic waste. trend is the increase of government intervention. Governments are becoming active bargainers in environmental issues. Business firms will have to know the nature and dimensions of environmental regulations and to what extent these factors will affect their business prospect. A decade ago, we were all under an impression that natural resources like air and water are not exhaustible and their supply is unlimited. But now, the situation is changed and we came to know that such resources are also very much limited. So, the governments all over the world prevent the businessmen and industrialists from recklessly exploiting the scarce resources for their immediate gains. Further, more emphasis is being laid for the promotion of sanitation, health, forestry, soil conservation, housing, or etc. Various legislative measures are also being taken to protect the ecological environment. All these factors directly limit the scope of performance of the business firms. They should look for the government sanction at each stage.
Environmental scanning. Environmental scanning is a constant and careful analysis of the internal and external environment on an organization in order to detect opportunities, threats, trends, important lessons, and weaknesses which can impact the current and future strategies of the organization. Identification of these variables can either be used to build strategies, either to expand the business or to minimize their impacts on the growth of the business. What is environmental scanning? Environmental scanning is an important part of the business process as it is the responsibility of an organization to keep a check on things which can put negative impacts on their business and their consumers. The members of the organization look for the prominent internal and external threats which adversely affect the organization, not only the issues which directly impact their consumers and suppliers, but also those of which impact the competitors. And overall environment of the industry are scanned and new strategies are developed to deal with these issues. Large organizations have employees especially hired for the research purposes who constantly research and learn about market changes and provide information to the higher management so that company doesn't lag behind because of the lack of the knowledge about the marketplace changes. Having knowledge about the issues in the business and market changes, management can take important decisions for the future of the organization. Following are the efforts made by the organization to do an environmental scanning. 1. Market research is performed and the data collected from the market research is processed, studied in order to make planning for future actions. 2. Comparing the performance of the competitor company in order to learn about their strategies and business ideas. 3. Learning from the executives of the organization. 4. Analyzing and making decisions on the basis of the demographic data. 5. Collecting information from articles issued, web pages, journals, magazines, newspapers, and etc. Importance of environmental scanning. Environmental scanning plays an important role in the business process of an organization. There are many advantages of performing environmental analysis that helps the organization to stay safe from the business loss and to stay ahead in the competition. 1. By performing environmental analysis, you can learn about the strengths, opportunities available, and threats lurking around the industry. Having knowledge about all of these things highly impacts your decision making regarding with your business and can reform your business strategies. 2. The environmental analysis helps us to determine whether resources such as human resource, capital resource, and etc. are being used properly or not. It helps us to curb down the wastage of these important resources. 3. Constant environment scanning helps the organization to learn about the opportunities and threats occurring in the industry, and on the basis of the information, future strategies can be planned and implemented. Hence, it helps the organization to stay strong in the game. 4. Environmental scanning helps you to learn about the business strategies of your competitors. You can take ideas from strategies and can also from your strategies accordingly so that you can give constant competition to them. 5. The collected data environment scanning plays an important role in long-term business planning. 6. Environmental scanning helps you to stay connected with your consumers. You can learn about the changing expectations from your consumers and provide them services accordingly. Components of environmental scanning. Business environment of an organization can be divided into two types of environment: external environment and internal environment. There are different components associated with both the environments. Let us learn about them one by one. Internal environmental components are the components which lie within the organization, in which changes in these components impact the overall performance of the organization. There are various internal environmental components such as different resources like human resources, capital resources, technological resources, objectives, organizational structure, value system, corporate structure, and labor union. These components played an important role in structuring the future of an organization. Therefore, it is important to analyze these components as a part of environmental scanning. External components are the components which exist outside the walls of an organization. Even though these components are not part of the organization, they still impact the business of the organization. The external environment can be divided into two categories, such as micro-environmental components and macro-environmental components. Micro-environmental components consist of components such as competitors, suppliers, industry, organization, consumers, market, and etc. Macro-environmental components consist of components such as demographical environment, economic environment, political environment, cultural environment, technological environment, and etc. The purpose of environmental scanning. Environmental scanning is conducted to collect data for the various areas such as competition, employment trends, geopolitical climate, economic condition, industry, technological advancement, global opportunities, and etc. It is important for an organization to consistently track the changing trends and to develop strategies accordingly. It also helps in the decision making in a sense that you can learn about the current demands and expectations of the consumers and produce and sell products accordingly so that you can expand your business. However, in a less dynamic organization, environmental scanning can be done once a year just to learn about the issues faced by the organization. Techniques of environmental scanning. Environmental scanning is a process where deep analysis of an environment is done in order to learn about the new opportunities and threats on the basis of which new strategies can be prepared. Here you will learn about the different techniques which are used for environmental scanning purpose. Research. Environment scanning is conducted to learn about the latest trends of the industry and the lurking threats so that the opportunities can be exploited and precautionary steps can be taken to reduce impacts. Research is an old method that has been used by various industries to learn about the industry in detail. There is even a different department named as Research and Development, department to conduct all research. Getting the opinions of experts. In this method, the management of the organization takes the opinions of experts who have a deep and solid knowledge about the industry, who can easily decode its latest trends and recognize the first appearance of the opportunities. SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This is a strategic technique offered by an organization to learn about its internal strengths and weaknesses. We are aware that it is important to learn about business competition and project planning. SWOT analysis is a technique to learn to identify internal and external factors which can be helpful in achieving the goal of an organization, because it identifies all the areas that is needed to be focused at, and the business can create a hierarchy of which should be addressed the soonest. PESTEL analysis is done to learn about the external macro-environmental factors. PESTEL stands for P political, E economic, S social, T technological, L legal, and E environmental. These external and macro-environmental factors put an impact on the business of the organization, and it's important for an organization to keep a track of them. Being aware on the market and the movement of trends by using PESTEL provides you more stable, specific, and long-term idea about trends. It is also allow you to forecast the future trends by just looking at the way how these components develop. Analysis of industry. There is a different organization in an industry which can be your direct or indirect competitors. They are part of the microenvironment.
There is a bunch of contributing factors to success of the company which comes from both outside and inside the business. Either outside or inside factors are of utmost importance of the development of the company. If a business hopes to perform smoothly and successfully, they need to take all these elements into consideration before making any decision. And that's it for today. I hope you learned something today from what we've discussed. Thank you and God bless.